All right, kids. Iran's supreme leader has been killed. It is official. Rob Reiner's son is out of control. You don't not have to laugh at that, Evan Mintz. That is not funny. Evan Mintz, Houston Chronicle opinion editor, in the building right now. Welcome to Right Wing Talk Radio.
Thanks for.
Oh, hang on. Well, you didn't even think about the mic.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Hang on. We'll fix this right now. To those of you watching us, the thrill of live radio. Right. It's the one thing I didn't think of was your microphone. Evan, welcome, my man. People are always surprised to find out that you and I are friends, or that I'm friends with Olivia Giuliana. They don't understand that.
I know there's a big difference between politics and personality, and I think sometimes people don't get that. And it's pretty healthy to be able to hear other people's perspectives, even if you don't agree on everything, in just a nice way.
I may not agree with some of your political positions, but I like you. You're a nice guy. And I'll meet right-wing thinkers out at political events and stuff, and I agree with their events, but I don't like them. They don't they don't seem like people I'd want to be at a party with, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of people get into politics and it becomes their whole personality, and they become very intense. And you just need to tell them, relax, please. Politics is a means, not an ends.
Yeah, it's true. I think at the end of the day, most of us want the same thing. We want what's best for society. I want what benefits most people. I want policies that are good for the average Texan. You're an interesting, you're almost a walking contradiction, because people assume opinion editor of the Houston Chronicle, liberal, he must hate Texas, and you're one of the most patriotic Texans that I know.
Oh, yes. Happy Independence Day. I love Texas. I love Houston. There's some pride in it. And also some of it's personal. You know, my family came here from the old country, settled in Houston, and everyone's been pretty successful. This place has been very good to us, and I want it to keep being good to those next generations.
Do you think that part of the reason why it's been good to us is because of fiscally conservative economic policies?
I think a lot of it is very pro-opportunity, and I think a lot of it is looking at, we don't care where you come from, as long as you just kind of want to work and make money, we're happy to have you. There's this old story during the big oil boom days when you could put a gorilla in a suit, drop it in downtown Houston, and it'd make $1 million by the end of the week. That's kind of attitude I want to have. I want to have folks coming here. It's do you want to work hard and make money and just be chill with everyone else around you? Yeah, sure. It's okay, who do you hate more? Various historic ethnic opponents, or Dallas? It's oh, Dallas. Okay, come on in.
That's awesome. I am, you know me. I am not real socially conservative. I'm more of I'm a moderate in that terms. But I think what attracted me to Texas was a great entrepreneurial environment, low taxes for the most part, except for property taxes. You know, as someone you're an intellectual. I mean, you are the quintessential left wing, and you are, because I think you're the perfect person to be the editor of the Houston Chronicle opinion section, because you celebrate the diversity of opinions. You publish stuff all the time you probably don't agree with. You are a left-wing intellectual Jewish man, and you recently published an article about why someone loves Sharia law. People couldn't believe their eyes when they saw that article.
I mean, this has been the core of so many conversations and debates happening, particularly right now in the Republican primary, how we're going to ban Sharia law, we're going to deal with Sharia law. No one's really talking about what Sharia law is, what does it mean to different people? So we had a guy who is a practicing Muslim here in Houston. He is a Boy Scout leader. He is a business leader. And he said, listen, I'm a practicing Muslim. This is what Sharia law means for me. And this is what I say to a lot of people worrying about Sharia law in Texas. You'll go through, let's say, well, Sharia law means cutting off people's hands if they steal. It means oppressing women. And I go, I mean, I'm sure you could find that written down somewhere. But if you go talk to an actual Muslim in Houston, is that what they're doing? And the answer is no, of course not. I could flip through the Bible and say oh man, crawfish boil, we're going to have to hit people with rocks because you're not supposed to have your shellfish. But that's not how the world really works.
But Evan, we talked about this off the air a little. In the New Testament, they tell you to forget some of the stuff about the Old Testament.
Yeah.
That's the general idea. There's not a New Testament to the Quran. It's sarika is the amputation of hands. Zina is the lashing of unmarried women or stoning them for having sex. If you give up Islam, that gets you into trouble. I feel like that does not correlate with Western values.
I mean, I don't see that actually happening here. And, as a Jew, I could say I don't have a New Testament. I have my Old Testament, and I can go through it. I also have centuries upon centuries of rabbis arguing about how you actually enact these things. And Islam has a similar structure. You say, yes, it says this, but how do we actually practice it right now? I mean, M.J. Khan was a Muslim Republican who's on city council. I didn't see him doing any of this. When Akeem was getting us our back-to-back champions, I didn't see him doing any of this. You can find bad stuff in any religion. You can find bad people in any religion. But part of, I think, being biased for Houston and Texas is saying, all right, I know there are Muslims here. Let's ask them what they're actually doing here in Houston, here in Texas. And frankly, a lot of them probably came here to get away from folks who were thinking like that in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, and they love being in Texas.
You could find bad people in any religion except the Mormons. They seem to be really nice people all the time. I can't think of anything they've done wrong. They just seem like good guys to me.
It depends what you think about polygamy.
So, you know what's interesting about that is now in the 21st century, there's the polyamorous community, and men can marry men and women can marry. And that's very much accepted. Republicans, for the most part, don't even have a problem with it. But no one ever took up arms for the old school polygamists. There's never been a movement of marching through the streets to say, hey, these women want to be sister wives. Where's their political movement, you think?
I don't know, but I look at someone like Elon Musk, where what has like 20 kids with 20 wives. Like, there's something Mormon-esque about that.
Yes, no, you're right, 100%. Elon is an interesting character. And that just goes to speak to the exceptionalism of Texas.
Yes.
Where did he move to? He moved here. Let's talk about this. We go from that to this. You have an interesting article today. It's from over the weekend in the Houston Chronicle. Let me put this up on the screen real quick. I don't think I got this. I didn't set this up correctly. Let me fix the display here. For those of you listening to us on the radio, we are live streaming on social media. So you can look at, there's visual aids for today's program. And here we are looking at 7 cliches Texas politicians need to stop saying. I thought this was a great list. It seems to apply to people in both parties. I hate when people say I am not a politician because they're always politicians. We need to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Kind of, I'd agree with it, but it's a vague thing.
Yeah.
The only thing I would have put on this that you didn't put was the fake cowboy stuff. More common in my party than yours. But our party, people will move to the state, buy a cowboy hat, and like these baby boomer women, I don't know, they don't get like that this is totally disingenuous. These people aren't cowboys.
Oh, yeah. No, that pisses me off, too. I mean, I'm a lifelong Houstonian. Can you imagine me in like a cowboy hat and boots? I'd look ridiculous.
Me too.
And Houston, really at its core, we're a port city. Like, people should be dressing up as longshoremen to like show what our legacy is. But you see these guys going around with their cowboy hats. Who's a doc who's going around with his saddlebags over his shoulder?
Why does he have what is in his saddlebag?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Someone should ask him what's in the saddlebag. Who knows?
It's just like Mentos.
Dude, I'll bet the older women, though, love it. I'll bet when he gets around older, because he knows he's not going to win at this point. He's polling at less than 5%.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the chicks, they must, if you're into 55-year-old women, they must be throwing themselves
Maybe that's
at
the
him.
goal. Maybe this is kind of like a way to get out and get some dates. I don't know. But you're not dressing up to like put on this performance as a politician. So much of like all these 7 things get at this core idea that being a politician is a job in a way. You have to understand policy. You have to work with a lot of different interest groups that may be in conflict with each other. How do you navigate that if you're supposed to represent everybody's interests? It is hard. It's a job. And just to be like, well, I'm not a politician. I'm coming in and I know nothing about this. I don't know how good of a job you're going to do.
It's true, yeah. And that seems to be the case. People will compare themselves to Trump. It's like, all right, hang on a minute. Trump is a billionaire that ran this massive global corporate conglomerate for decades that seemed to include thousands of employees. They're like, well, I'm a businessman. Yeah, sort of. You ran a car dealership or something. It's not quite the same thing as running the state of Texas.
Right. And it depends, what job you're running for, too. If you're a car dealership owner and you are running for city council, maybe state legislature, I can kind of see how that translates pretty well. Trump, one of his biggest skills all the way through was just knowing how to manage media. He did it great with the New York Post. He did it when he was on TV. And when you're president, dealing with media is a huge part of the job. If you're good at running your media representation and you're running for state legislator, like, I don't see the connection there.
No, me neither. We're going to take a quick break. If you are listening to us on the radio, if you are watching us live streaming, don't go anywhere. Evan Mintz will continue this conversation with me literally in seconds, so stick around. Quick break.
Our doctor told us the pills we took were just a placebo, but he must not know what he's talking about because, man, those suckers worked. This is Kenny Webster's Pursuit of Happiness.
Hey, kids, you're watching us. This is what we call a live recording session, live to tape. We call it in the biz. Most of you know who I am. I'm Kenny Webster. I'm here with Evan Mintz, one of my good friends and the editor of the Houston Chronicle opinion section. Evan, for the record, to his point, he lets more conservatives express their opinions in the Houston Chronicle than we let liberals express our opinions on KPRC and KTRH. So to those of you that don't like him, maybe that's something to consider. He accepts submissions all the time. Evan, why don't you take the mic for just a minute and tell people how they can find you, how they can subscribe, and how they can submit if they want to.
You can subscribe to the Houston Chronicle. Just go to HoustonChronicle.com. And tomorrow's Election Day. If you want to learn about our endorsements of the candidates, you can see it at HoustonChronicle.com/opinion. Even if you don't agree with our conclusions, we write up about all the different candidates, explaining why we pick who we pick and why we don't pick other candidates. And sometimes you can see we think one is a whole lot better than the others. Sometimes everyone's kind of even. We just got to pick the first among many. So go, read, subscribe, and learn about the people on the ballot.
I love it, my man. Stand by, everybody. We're going back on the radio right now. All right, everybody. The Supreme Court tariff ruling means the government may have to refund $175 billion, or, as Elon Musk calls it, a child support payment. So that's, it's a reasonable amount of money. Evan, I tell bad jokes for a living on the radio and on stage, and I recently authored an article for the Houston Chronicle opinion section about my right-wing comedy show. The House of Blues published information online about the event. 1,000 people in the comment section either roasting us, some of the comments were very funny, by the way, or just upset that it was happening. So the Chronicle wrote an article about it, put that on social media, and then the comment section on that was filled with conservatives that were outraged over the fact that liberals were outraged, or that you guys even covered the story, which I thought was great. It helped me sell dozens of tickets to a comedy show that's like 4 months away. Do people just like being mad? Is that what it is?
Oh, I think it totally is. People want to feel something in life, and if you feel like you don't have a lot of other purpose, anger is a powerful motivator. Something that we've realized is that a lot of algorithmic social media platforms just reward outrage and engagement, and that's what they want to do. And at the newspaper, thank goodness there are editors there to say, I don't care what the algorithm's saying. We actually want to do some real news here and actually try to report what's going on. I say the biggest bias in media right now isn't left or right. It's towards negativity. You report when planes crash, not when they land, and it gives you a perverse perspective on the world.
A lot of people in Houston, Texas, around the state were upset about the Paxton impeachment. One of the lawyers involved in that, I believe, was Dan Cogdale. A lot of people in the state were upset about Epic City. One of the lawyers involved in that is Dan Cogdale. It's interesting how behind the scenes, the people that seem to be pushing or pulling the levers are, interestingly enough, my uncle rides motorcycles with him and tells me he's a great guy. He's just a very good lawyer, and that's how he ends up in these cases.
Oh, that's absolutely how it works. You can go down to the criminal courthouse and find people who are representing just the worst folks in the world. Why are you supporting these murderers? I don't support them. It's my job. The Constitution says you're entitled to representation. I'm going to do the best job I can. It seems like Dan's that kind of guy. He's going to be a good lawyer, whoever can pay him.
I'm told online, I'd never seen this before about you. I just stumbled onto this live on the air here. You imagined a bold 2050 scenario where Houston hosts a North American Free Movement Agreement treaty. What is that about?
Oh, just the idea that, like how in the EU you can go from country to country to country without a passport, that we should get to a point where you can go from Canada, United States, Mexico, passport free. And what city would be like a natural nexus for that? But Houston. We already have those great Mexico connections with the oil industry. We got good connections in Canada. We should be the host for that.
We are, after this weekend, we had this terrible thing happen in Austin. Conservatives very quick to blame that on immigration laws. Liberals very quick to blame it on gun rights. And one thing I will say, whether you and I agree or this or not, people really seem to be able to solve that problem before we knew anything about what even happened.
Yes, it's frustrating to see people react before we have all the facts on the ground. It's terrible. It's a tragedy. We're going to keep learning more about it. But I think the fact of the matter is that you can look at crime rates and they go up and down, totally disconnected from a lot of these other issues.
Right. Yeah, you also had a fantastic idea, which I have stolen and said is my idea now, which if anybody ever hears me say it, What do we do about the Astrodome? I think Evan has a better idea than anyone does, and I've repeated this to people in my gym many times. For those that are watching us on social media, not from Houston, you may be surprised to learn the Astrodome still exists. It's still there.
It's huge.
No, nothing is done with it except that it's a home for rats. It's this giant thing. And Evan has pointed out tearing it down could be expensive. Keeping it up is expensive. Maybe it becomes like the Roman Colosseum. It becomes our own ruins, and people could take a view of it. I have been told, though, that the mold makes it unhealthy. If people were to take a tour of it, I suppose some kind of oxygen mask would be necessary.
Yeah, whatever it is we need to do to let people walk through it is fine. Actually, I have an op-ed on this up right now, just as folks are going to the rodeo. They're going to be seeing the Astrodome. They're going to be thinking, what do we do with this? Just do nothing. Let it fall into disrepair like the Coliseum, and we can do tours, and we could have guys like dressed up like astronauts outside where you can take pics with them for $10. I mean, even look at the Alamo. The Alamo is fundamentally ruins. We don't use it for what it was originally made to do.
That's true.
It is a tourist destination.
Right.
We should do that with the Astrodome. Just let it be a big tourist destination.
I hadn't even thought of that. Houston wouldn't even be the first place where we had ruins. For those that don't know, if you've never been in the Astrodome, it used to be home to one of the gaudiest apartments in the world. I always thought that this was above that hotel, but it's actually above the Astrodome.
Mm-hmm.
And way before Airbnb existed, you could stay in this apartment for like $10,000 a night, owned by Judge Huffines.
Yeah.
His daughter is a very old woman, and I mean no disrespect to her, she just is, and she lives in the apartment across from mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter. Did you know that?
Hoffine's family is just incredible for our city. But it's so funny to think that when he was pitching the Astrodome, it really is kind of like this self-proclaimed huckster mentality. He was proud to call himself a huckster because really the idea of building this giant multi-purpose stadium, it was never really going to pay for itself. It was always going to be this white elephant structure. And we used it, from 1965 all the way through, 2000, 2001, when Enron Field opened. Now it's Daikon Field.
I always forget about that.
Yeah.
Were you in Houston when the Enron thing happened?
Not only was I here, my dad was a whistleblower.
Really?
And he got to go up and he had to go up and testify before Congress. And he was freaking out this whole time as the whole thing was going south because he had this insider role of recognizing they're doing all these spin-off companies, saying, okay, if you make these spin-off companies, you have to disclose it to the board. You have to let the people in charge know what you're doing. And then there are these pictures of him, his arm up, swearing in before Congress, and he was worried the SEC was going to go after him, that they wouldn't understand what he was doing. And then, of all people, Jake Tapper, who at the time was writing for Salon, wrote this article that said, like, the Enron whistleblower you never heard of. And it was about my dad.
Wow.
And he's like, thank God, like, Jake Tapper saved my life.
The Enron whistleblower you never heard of. Salon.com. I've got to see this.
Yeah.
Do you know what else? Oh my God, look at this. 2003, the betrayal of the whistleblowers. I don't know if I found the right article or not.
Oh, maybe
but
not.
One of the most interesting things about Enron to me, Elizabeth Holmes, the young woman who created Theranos, which sounds like a Marvel Comics supervillain, is a Houstonian.
Yes.
Who was like the girl boss. Kamala loved her and Hillary loved her right up until her scandal, and then they all washed their hands of her. But her dad was an Enron executive.
He was, and he was involved in Enron's like green energy portfolio, which was never like a real thing. There's kind of a metaphor there. But here's another part of the story. I went to school with Elizabeth Holmes.
Get out of here.
And I was in the same class as her younger brother, who was involved in the company a little bit. He got kicked out of the school for cheating.
Really?
Really?
It runs in the family.
Yeah.
All three of them.
There's something there.
That is a lot. Do you think it's genetic, being a white-collar criminal?
I don't know. I think there's probably a cultural thing, just like a family thing.
Do you think that technology will ever... I mean, it must happen at some point to be able to look at someone's blood and tell us what's wrong with them. And it doesn't seem like a radical idea. It is, but it's not incomprehensible, which I think is why people believed her.
I'm always worried about like the unpredictable consequences of doing stuff like that. But everybody wanted to believe. But my understanding of it was that throughout, all of the experts involved, the people who really knew anything about this, said like this wasn't going to work. The whole like testing blood from a single drop just wasn't going to work. But they got ignored, and all of like the influential people involved and all of the investors were just like saw dollar signs and fame.
All right, you've got a lawyer's background. I'm a law school dropout. I don't know if you know that about me.
You made the smart move.
I took the LSAT. I applied to law school.
Mm-hmm.
I was all ready to go. And then Mancow gave me a job making prank phone calls for a living. Mom and Dad were not thrilled about that. As you can see, it's turned out fine.
Yes.
But you have an attorney's background. You also have a Pulitzer finalist nod for your sharp editorial writing. What's one piece of advice you would give to people that listen to this radio show who want to submit to the newspaper, want to get into what you do?
I mean, the advice that I got from my old opinion editor was whatever it is that gives you like a stomach ache in the morning, whatever it is that's like pissed you off in the morning, write it up and send it in. And really, we're looking for stuff 550, 850 words. Just what is it you want to happen in the world, or what are you mad about? You can also write letters to the editors, a lot shorter, usually about stuff that we've published that are about 250 words. And you just send that to viewpoints@houstonchronicle.com. We see it, and we like to run it.
We are about to run out of time, and there's one thing I really didn't ask. We didn't even really talk about tomorrow's election at all. But I love that you have this article I want people to go take a look at. I may not agree with all of them, but I do agree with some of them. Let me put this up on the screen here. This was an interesting article. The best and worst candidates I thought was interesting. Yep. Let's just talk about the Senate race real quick, and then we'll sign off because I know you got to run and I do too. It looks like, look, I like Wesley Hunt. He's a friend. I think he's a great guy.
I like him too.
Do you believe the polling data? What do you think about that?
I mean, you never know because turnout is so high, and this is all uncharted territory. And Texas polling is historically pretty bad because we don't have a lot of big heated elections, and turnout is up, turnout is down. It's not like you would do in, Iowa or South Carolina, these states where like there's lots of elections and there's lots of regular polling. I think that you probably wouldn't go wrong guessing that it's probably just going to end up being Cornyn and Paxton, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and since it's going to be a runoff anyway, vote your heart. If you like Paxton or Hunt, vote for him. If you like Cornyn, fine. Let's say it's Cornyn and Paxton. Where do you think Hunt's votes go?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's something that could really end up being split 50-50 because you could have folks that say, I don't like Paxton's background. He's radioactive. Also, I worried he'd lose. Cornyn's a better vote, and he's just more of a reliable congressman or a senator. But you could also have people who say, like you, sick of Cornyn, represents the past, wants something new, wants something different.
Yeah.
And that's Paxton. And I imagine that, folks who are voting right now for Wesley Hunt could go either way.
Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico, where do you think it goes?
I think that you're going to have worst case scenario. It's going to be like 49%, because there's like some random third candidate running.
Ahmed Hassan.
Yeah.
And
they're going to get forced to a runoff.
It's not fair, but after the weekend we've had, I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of votes.
I don't think he was getting a lot of votes in the first place.
He said he was polling at 1%.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And so, well, you never know what could happen there. But it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. We hope to hear back from you after this happens. And, of course, before we sign off today, if people do want to subscribe or submit or whatever, HoustonChronicle.com, easy to do it.
It's all there. There should be a big button at the top where you can click to subscribe. I think it's 99 cents for 6 months, so sign up. And if you don't like it, you can always just cancel.
Evan, I know you are the only reason I like the Houston Chronicle. Well, you and Faith Bugenhausen, but she quit. Bugenhagen?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went up to Austin.
She went to go work at, the Statesman there.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you always say it's the separation between church and state, the opinion editors and the people
and the
writing.
news side, yeah. I don't know what they do until they do it. And sometimes it gets a little frustrating. It's like, they had this great news article. We could have had a really quick opinion piece on it if we knew it was coming.
All right, one more before we sign off. Rodeo Houston, you going to see any concerts?
No concerts. I like to go. It's a great place to go with my family because there are very few places I can hang out with my kids and have like 3 to 5 beers.
Yeah.
And nobody bats an eye.
Nobody bats an eye that you're drunk watching people feed baby lambs. It's completely.
That's exactly it. My wife and I are there just had one too many beers, sitting in the little stands, watching my kids watch someone milk a cow.
Yeah.
It's like, this is life. This is what it's all about.
Amen to that. God bless Houston. Thank you very much. Evan Mintz, my guest this hour from the Houston Chronicle.
Thanks for having me.
You are listening to The Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Tell the government to kiss your ass when you listen to this show.